In lieu of the Trump indictment, now we have calls from the conservative side to go after Biden, uh,
Yeah.
which
Are they ballsy enough to do it?
don't know.
You know what? There seems to be uh,
Like,
it,
there's a lot there. Like,
we
that's the thing. Like, Trump, which is what they were saying. It was Dave Smith on Tim Pool's show the other day. They were talking about how, like, for a real estate developer in New York, Trump has to be like the cleanest guy in the industry.
Mhm,
Like, because they have nothing.
right.
They have literally nothing
They've
on
been
him.
trying. It's not like they haven't been
They
trying.
don't have him on like jaywalking
Yeah.
or anything. And like, there's so many things that like I think as Dave Smith was saying, because like New York's one of those lefty states where they just have fucking laws coming out of their ears. Like you can't go get a pizza without breaking the law.
Well, he doesn't even drink, so I'm sure he
Yeah,
doesn't do drugs or any of that kind of stuff. He probably his whole life has been about his ego, trying to build himself, his name, building his wealth. So he's obviously hyper focused on those things and not on other things.
yeah.
So to say that he hasn't broken laws is completely silly. Obviously, he's broken laws, but
I think now you can say that he probably hasn't.
well, I think
Because
well,
they would have dug that shit up. They
yeah,
would have dug up the like Donald Trump rented out an apartment for 3 months that was like
yeah.
illegal. Like they would have like the shit that they're pulling out now, like they would have found something like that and they would have thrown it at the
There's
wall.
like there's heavily breaking laws, and then there's the shit that people do. The um different things that they're going to do to shell money from taxes and all those kinds of things. I'm sure he's guilty of all that stuff. I mean, come on. I think anybody at his wealth level is guilty of those kinds of things.
I think
Hush
it's
money
fair to say he's not at
payments.
all.
Really, eh?
I think they would have found it. I think they would have found stuff. I think they would have like the shit that like the scrutiny that they're putting on this man, how deeply they're going, and
Yeah.
that they're coming out with like these allegations that have no bearing that like everybody knows has no bearing because we all know exactly what happened. Like there's
Right.
a reason that none of this amounted to anything in the past. And they don't have any of that. Like if that existed, I'm sure they would have pulled it up and it would be there.
Well, that's a good argument for it, but I don't know. It just seems to me that it would be, uh, it's just so highly implausible or impossible even that he's not guilty of something. Maybe he's just good at getting away with it. Maybe he isn't. I don't know. But I would just say the likelihood of him actually having some dirt is high. But like you say, they haven't been able to dig it up. And I'm
Yeah, that's
sure
why
they've
I
got
say I completely
it.
disagree with that.
Yeah, they've got everybody and their brother looking for it. So I don't know.
Pulling up nothing. Like, I'm surprised that they haven't, like, found some shit that he did in high school
Yeah, I know.
and
Right?
tried to throw that at the wall.
Yeah.
Let's see if it
That'll
sticks.
be the
Well,
next thing.
one time and Donald Trump turned in his English paper 3 days late in the 8th grade. Like, is this the man you want as your president?
It's-
I can't believe that they haven't tried anything like that because the man's fucking squeaky clean, apparently.
yeah. Well, he's Teflon Don, right? Yeah, maybe, maybe. I guess you make a good argument for it, but I don't know. Just the realist in me thinks that somebody at
I
that
think that's
level.
the case. That's it. Like, at this point, it's almost like Uh, if we narrow down to like a specific crime, I know with Trump is more of a generic, they're just looking for anything. But
Mhm.
if I'm like, you know what? You're skimping out on your taxes. You're not paying taxes. You must have like some cash buried in your house. And I come in here and I tear the place apart and I don't find anything. And then I leave and I'm like, I know he's guilty of something, but I
Mm.
didn't find anything. That's what I see
Oh
it
yeah,
now. That's kind of what I see now at this point. It's like all the evidence points that that he's not really guilty of anything. There's no especially serious crimes. I mean, the laws on the books in the US are fucking ridiculous on a lot of them because they don't take them away. They just add them.
hmm
So sure, there's some random things that nobody knows about that like everybody's broken that law.
hmm
But in terms of anything that's like serious that anyone would actually take seriously, I think if there was anything,
No, and I agree with that. I agree with that
it
statement.
would have been
Yeah, but
drug out.
that's my point.
Yeah.
I'm saying he's not completely squeaky clean, but it's for one. I mean, even if he is guilty of those little things, those little tax evasion type shit, everybody fucking does it. You're just witch hunting this guy because of his political differences. So like or hate Trump, and again, I'm in the middle on Trump. I really whatever. I mean,
I
I
love the man.
yeah, I'm not really a Trumper. I've never really been a fan. I'm fine with him. I was more of a fan of him outside of president.
I'm a
Uh,
fan following his presidency.
well,
I didn't know who he was really, like, and you
yeah, I
know
did. Yeah,
Donald Trump, right?
yeah.
You know who he is, but he's kind of like before my time a little bit. But he becomes president. Like I was against Trump in the campaign era. Like
Mhm.
I kind of was like, oh boy, here's let's see what's gonna happen. Like when he got elected,
Right.
and then his presidency happened. I'm like, okay. Like not only was he way better a president than he had any business being, coming
Mhm.
in from being a real estate mogul to just WWE wrestler, like famous guy, movie star, whatever, reality TV star. He did a good job.
No, I
Like
do. I don't
there's
disagree with that at all.
plenty of things that he could have done differently, but like
Yeah.
we're talking about a major, we're talking about a huge improvement from dog shit. Like we went from dog shit to a brick.
Right.
Right? Because like and it's really hard to go any further than that in a single president because of the huge mess that we have,
Yeah.
that we're working with.
Yeah.
Um,
No,
that's why I like him.
I definitely so at first I wasn't at all a fan of him. But then yeah, like you, I mean, he grew on me a little bit as president because he did.
Well, things were working, right? The economy was great,
Yeah.
good foreign
Well, I mean,
policy.
yeah, there were some arguments to be made on different sides of that as far as whether he inherited something. There's always that argument though, but I don't think he.
Well,
I
but
think he
I
was great
think
on foreign policy. That's what
I
I.
think you can make a direct conclusion that Trump's economic policy was good for the economy because he had a
America first.
America first and a deregulation
Yeah,
mindset.
that was like Reagan was like that with the
Yeah,
deregulation shit.
and so I think as a result, the economy was booming because of the deregulation, giving private corporations more freedom to do what they needed to do,
Right.
and the America First, like incentivizing corporations to move into the United States opposed to going away.
There's always the argument though
Um,
that presidents always make or former presidents make where they say, "Oh, it was the administration before him that set the groundwork so he could succeed." And I mean, there is an argument to that sometimes.
I think that's only in the short term, and it
Well,
depends on what you're doing, right?
the
So,
four
like
years is short.
if you come in and you do the exact same things as the previous president, then you could say that the previous president laid the groundwork. But then you could just argue that the previous president did the right thing, and then they just carried on doing the right thing. But like for example, Biden comes in, like he's done so many things at this point that have shot the economy.
Yeah.
Right? He gets rid of all the
Well,
America surplus.
Biden's garbage.
Yeah, gets rid of the America First stuff. Just print more and more money, send it off to Ukraine to fight a proxy war with Russia. Like,
I think Biden's the worst president, well, in my lifetime for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, I think he's going to be the worst president of this century. Like maybe the last two. Like he's garbage. He really is garbage
And I wonder if they'll try to bring charges up against him because,
because they don't want him to run again.
well, no, the Republicans,
No,
just because.
I bet you get some help on the other side too. If they put somebody else in better
No,
that could
because I
run.
think it discredits them because everybody knows about his crimes
Mm.
and they've kind of like not. So like I think it kind of hurts them, sort of in popularity if all of a sudden everyone's in favor of charging Biden with like crimes of corruption that we knew about because of the Hunter Biden laptop story that they
I
desperately
know,
tried to
but
cover up.
these are like chess moves. Like you don't see the move and they're trying to play like 5, 6, 7 moves ahead. So they'll do something in trying to make this other thing happen. Kind of like the Trump thing. I think on the surface it looks like this is great for Trump, right? You're like, okay, he's being indicted on these bullshit
It was he went
okay.
up in
That's what I'm
polling
saying.
immediately, yeah.
But if you look at it, maybe they're trying to get Trump to beat DeSantis because they feel like DeSantis could win a presidential election, but if Trump gets the nod for the Republican nomination, then he won't beat him in the general election. So maybe that's what they're thinking. That's the whole purpose to it. Because otherwise, it looks like they're shooting themselves in the foot here by doing all this shit. And then you make Bragg the public enemy or the liberal enemy number one, right? And they say, oh well, he was rogue and he did his own thing.
Especially when like this guy's claiming that there are other charges that he like won't, or there are other crimes because I think like they're accusing him of felony or they're felony charges, but in order for there to be a felony, you have to present like a felony crime. So it's like if there are other crimes on top of a felony crime, the whole thing is a felony. So they're trying to make this a felony, but they haven't stated a felony crime that he's accused of, but he
Yeah.
said that there is one, but he won't say what it is. So he's just like kind of alluding. He's like, "No,
So
just trust me, bro."
fucked.
And
Yeah, it's so fucked up.
even like the lefties are calling them out on that.
But
They're like,
it's
"There's nothing here."
and that's why, like, if you look at it from my perspective, it kind of screams like they know this and they're setting it up. Like they know this is gonna fail, but they know that Trump's gonna get bolstered by it. And then Trump ends up getting the nomination for the Republican nomination over DeSantis, and they feel like they can beat Trump as opposed to DeSantis. Like DeSantis is a fresh face. He's got a lot of Trumpisms to him, a lot more polished. Fucking Boy Scout. He's squeaky clean. There's nothing to the guy. He
Yeah.
was a former, or like he's a vet, he was in the army or
Who?
DeSantis.
DeSantis?
He was
Yeah, he
he
did
served somehow.
something,
He
I
served.
think.
I'm sure exactly. Don't quote me on where, but I
Yeah.
know he's a vet. So it's all like America, America, America with this guy. So he's gonna get all the diehard Trump fans will actually literally just go for him if he wins, like if he were to get the nomination. And then you're going to get a lot of the independents too, I think, and a lot of the true liberals that that are just sick and tired of the fucking the leftist dogma that they're pushing so far, and
Yeah.
this garbage presidency. You know, they'll be like, all right, let's fucking go with a more centrist Republican. You know, because
Yeah.
I would say DeSantis is pretty much a centrist Republican. They're the truest
It
sense of a
depends,
Republican,
man. There's no such thing as centrist anymore because, like,
but
if
it's
you
like
don't
common sense, right?
agree with them,
Yeah.
you're far right. And far right encapsulates like everything that isn't communist, basically.
Mhm.
And so it's like it's forcibly polarized to where like because like that's the thing about the Trump supporters is there is no core ideology behind the Trump supporters. It's just everybody that's against the establishment.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah, but that's the diehards, right? But there are a lot of I personally know a lot of Trump supporters who are more centrist types. Um, even when I was I was never against Trump, but I was always I would say I was not for him, but I wasn't really against. But I probably leaned a little bit against. So I when I would talk to friends that were for Trump, it was you know they're just they're for that they're for the non polished politician in him that's going to speak the truth. And you know he's saying all the shit like he's calling out the swamp. He's calling the news media what they are fake, and everybody knew they're fake.
I don't even think it's about necessarily speak the truth because there's an element to that him saying was true, but I think it's more in the vein of people like that he says what he thinks.
Like an everyday kind of person
Whether
or
they
every man.
agree that whether they think he's right or not, they like that he's saying what he thinks. So at least they know what he thinks. And
Yeah.
that that way you can because you can go from there and have like an honest dialogue. But if you don't know what somebody thinks, like in the case of Joe Biden, you don't know what Joe Biden thinks.
Hmm.
You have no idea what Joe Biden thinks. He's all over the place. You don't even know if he thinks at all. So like with that, it's very difficult. Like you have no idea. You can't argue with anybody or anything because it's so slippery. Whereas with Trump, it's like, here's what he thinks, and he said it. And
Yeah.
then when people try to say, "Oh, Trump thinks this," you'd be like, "No,
No.
that's literally not what he said. He said this."
Yeah.
Like what? Trump's a white nationalist. He said white nationalists are good people. It's like, no, he said the exact opposite. Here, listen to the audio, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
But it's like I've said before with the as far as the information, it almost doesn't matter because it's first who gets it out first. They can they can edit it. They can take a sound bite, put the sound bite out, and people will believe it, and then try and sway that initial belief.
yeah,
Good luck. I have friends like that that will repeat the sound bites.
yeah,
They're like, "That's true." I'm like, "That's not fucking true. Do a little bit of diving."
yeah,
We'll see. This is I don't think it's gonna do anything, honestly. I think he'll get off, but I my personal feel is that this was contrived in some ways.
yeah.